You're listening to the Roofing Success Podcast, a show created to inspire roofing contractors to achieve optimal success in their roofing businesses. I'm the host, Jim Moline, the co-author of the book, Internet Marketing for Roofing Contractors, How to Triple Your Sales and Turn Your Roofing Website into an Online Lead Generation Machine. I'm also the co-founder of Roofer Marketers, the digital marketing agency for the roofing industry. On each episode, I'll be sitting down with industry leaders to talk about their processes, the lessons they've learned, and how to find success in roofing. Welcome to another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast. Today, we're gonna talk about how to expand your business, client to client, month to month, year to year, in a very kind of unique way that maybe you haven't thought of before. And we're going to talk about having an unlimited marketing budget for your company. So I know it sounds like a crazy concept to have an unlimited marketing budget, but if you had an unlimited marketing budget, what do you think you could do with that? And how much more progress could you get, in your marketing efforts and your lead generation for your roofing business? So I'm really excited today. We have one of our friends from he's a business consultant, business coach, and has been that for many, many years. So he has tons of experience and tons of knowledge on how to coach contractors in their roofing business. He has the Profit Tool Belt, and he can explain more about his background. Dominic, Rubino, could you introduce yourself to the Roofing Success Podcast viewers and listeners?
Well, Jim, thank you very much for having me on the show. I'm excited to be here. Hi, everybody. My name's Dominic Rubino, and I'm far less than Jim already introduced me as, but I'm happy to have such a strong intro. Now I have to live up to it.
That's awesome. Well, so Dom, what, we were having this conversation a little bit ago around, a while ago around customer acquisition cost and long-term value of a client. And I know you had some really unique insights into that. Can you share with us how you think about it and explain customer acquisition cost and long-term value of a client to the people, to the contractors that you work with on a daily basis? Yeah. And the importance of it, I guess.
Well, yeah, happy to do so. And most people don't talk that language that you and I would talk about, which is customer acquisition cost, lifetime value. That's more technical language that you and I use. And unfortunately, that's exactly the way we should be thinking about it. But I learned this. And as you said, I've been a coach now for 20 years.
20 years.
Yeah.
Isn't it hard to say 2020?
You know what's even harder is when I say I started coaching at the turn of the century.
Whew.
That hurts. That hurts. But I got my chops working with a guy named Brian Tracy, which some of your listeners will know.
Yeah.
We'll know that name, Brian.
Very established sales coaching and business development coach. He's amazing. Yeah.
And so I was, Brian was my brand partner. Prior to this, the company that I had prior to this was building the coaching side of the Brian Tracy organization.
Oh, great.
We franchised one of Brian Tracy's concepts of business reinvention. And I've just sold that a couple of months ago, sold that company, mostly because I didn't want to travel anymore.
I bet that's a rigorous travel schedule.
It was a crazy travel schedule, but I'm very proud. All the coaches that I trained, I built a training team there. Our training team was about 13 people, and we had 230 plus coaches around the world. I'll tell you what, doing coaching training in Brazil in Portuguese was a new experience.
That would definitely be a different way of doing things. Yeah.
Especially because I don't speak Portuguese.
I train in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but I don't speak. I can't do much more than count to 10 for my push-ups. So,
hey, I'm happy you can make it to 10.
That's right.
But anyways, I learned from Brian Tracy a really important thing, which is it's a success mindset, and there's a couple of tricks we need to play on ourselves to be successful, and we need to fall for those tricks every time. And so one of the things is to ask ourselves questions that other people wouldn't ask. And that's how we get to this question about how to have an unlimited marketing budget, because it sounds a little goofy, right? Like, okay, is this Is this guy going to talk about some sort of federal loans program or how to get co-op funding from a supplier? No, it's more gutsy than that. And when I say guts, I mean just about 6 inches south of your guts. It's more than that. It's about being really entrepreneurial and thinking differently than the next company. And so the opening question of this is, how can I have an unlimited marketing budget? So to your point, this is a coaching exercise I do with my clients. They could be a $20 million company, $200 million, or a $200,000 company just starting out. The question's the same. The answer is just different. How can I have an unlimited marketing budget? And it's funny. The answer is, I'm not going to come up with the money. You are. Or in this case, the world is.
Okay.
So I have to find a way to get the world to pay for my marketing budget. That's the challenge I set out.
That is an interesting concept. So we're going to get other people to pay for our marketing budget.
Yeah. It takes
how do we do that, Dom?
Well, yeah, it takes a little bit of discipline, but after that, it's just a very simple system. So here's how it goes. Let's say, Jim, and you're in the roofing industry. So I'll speak to the roofing industry. It applies to every industry, right? And by the way, you're doing this already for other companies. You just don't know it. So you're taking part in their marketing budget, and as am I. We just don't know it. But let's say I'm a roofing contractor and I'm coming to look at your house. When I do my estimate for your house, I'm going to add $200 to the budget, and I'm going to hardwire that money in there. Let's say we call it blacklining it in. So if I have an estimate form I give to my salespeople, it is pre-printed on the contract. We'll call it an administration fee or office operation fee of $200. You can do that as a flat dollar value or a percentage. Now, every job that I do, there's $200 tacked on. And I then have to have the discipline as the owner to take that $200 and move it aside. I'm almost going to put it in a little box. I'm going to move it to a different bank account. I'm going to move it to a different place. Now I have that $200. My responsibility is I have to spend that money. So now I've got a $200 marketing budget. Next month, I'll have a $400 marketing budget. Next month, I'll have a $600, $800. And that's how companies get to the point where you may have a competitor like this in the market now. You're looking at them and you're like, hey, Fred started the same time as me. Why does he have TV ads? Why is he all over social media? Why does he have a fantastic website? He's got people answering his phones 24/7. Look at his fleet of trucks. How did that happen? We started at the same time. It's because he set an unlimited marketing budget.
That's interesting. I've had other guests on this podcast. Actually, one of the previous episodes, I think it was episode 4, Kevin Newton from Honest Abe Roofing, he described how he built his business as having his customers build his business one job at a time. And that kind of speaks to that same mindset of, he just took the money that he made and made sure that it was reinvested in his business in the right way, of course, not in frivolous ways. But I think this is an even better concept for people, because it's specifically, marketing is the lead to your business, right? That's the beginning. If no one knows who you are, you don't have a business, right? So, but it's very difficult to understand, or to wrap your mind around marketing budgets, right? Or, when people are talking to companies like ours that are agency business, or, you're getting hit up with emails all the time and cold calls and everything about this company can do this for you and generate this amount of leads and this amount of leads and this amount of leads. And most of them don't work out. You kind of go, wow, well, I don't know if I should put money into marketing, right? Like you kind of start pulling back, but this is a way to set that mindset. So that's an interesting concept there. The concept of saving. So we start with the estimate. So when you're doing your roofing estimate, it's as simple as putting in a line item, right? So you're talking about, let's say you're doing an estimate on a roof. It's $10, $12, $15,000 estimate. And you're just throwing a $200 line item.
That's it.
If you think you can't, if you don't think you can sell that in your roofing business, that's 1-2% of the of the cost of the roof, or So you're really talking about a minimal number. I like that idea. So what do you find? Do you consult your clients into increasing that over time at all, or just kind of really sticking to it, sticking to
Well,
a kind of a smaller number or something like that?
you know, the reality is the first person I have to convince on this success mindset is the client, my client,
Definitely.
right? Because they'll say, look, you know, there's a lot of competitive industry. There's a lot of people out there doing roofing. I can't be walking around jacking up my prices. Well, hang on a second. Are you talking to the right client? Do you have a sales process? In that sales process, are you outlining the things that are important to that person, not just how much I'm going to charge? What are you going to get? Because really, it's about the client. I'm here to serve, right? And I'm here to serve the best I can. By the way, I can't serve you that warranty if I'm not around in 3 years.
It's
Branches fall, trees fall,
right.
stuff happens. I need to be there to come back and fix your roof later. And I can't do that if I can't feed my kids and put gas in my truck and keep my crew happy. So I need a profit, right? It is the basis of a business in a democratic society. We're here to make money.
Business.
Yeah. So I think you already said it. If I'm going to spend 10,000, we'll just use 10,000.
Yeah.
If I'm going to spend 10,000 on a roof, I'll spend $10,200 on a roof. The word spend, though, is the problem.
Yeah.
Right? And remember I said, I need to play tricks on myself and fall for them every time. There's a saying that I really like. It's not a Brian Tracy saying. It's actually a Dom saying. Because what I say to myself when no one else is listening is what the world sees when everybody's watching.
Oh.
Right? So if I say to myself, my company's not worth $10,200, they're going to see that when I'm talking to them at the kitchen table.
Definitely.
Right? I have to believe that first. And so I do. And so that's what I work on with my clients is that belief. And I don't force anybody to do anything, but there's what we call lines of logic and reasoning. They exist in sales, they exist in marketing. Jim, you're a marketing expert. There's ways that we have to see the problem differently than other people have seen it before. By the way, I didn't make this up. This comes from a really great book called Profit First from Mike Michalowicz.
Oh, yeah.
Or at least he put an exclamation mark on this. I first learned it from a buddy of mine who's in the real estate industry.
Nice. Yeah, it's an interesting concept, and it creates a discipline in a way, right? Because a lot of times we look at the gross revenue and then we're pulling out our expenses instead of saying this is for this. And I'm very familiar with the Profit First too. Sean Van Dyke was a guest on our podcast also, who wrote the book Profit First for Contractors.
Right.
We discussed a lot of these things, and taking the line items essentially that you need out first. And another thing that you talked about was saving it, allocating it in the right manner.
Yeah.
And the other part of it is that you must allocate it.
You have to use it. Yeah.
manner.
Yeah.
Right.
You can't just put it to the beer fund.
That's right.
The beer fund will come later.
The new truck fund. You have to, and that's where marketing is supposed to be an investment. It's not supposed to. It's not a cost or an expense. It is an investment. So you should always be looking for that return on investment. So now, if you're taking out, say, $200 on that on each of those $10,000 roofs, you're going to hope to achieve a return on that investment. So now you're taking that $200 back out and turning it into $400 or $600 or $800 or $1,000. So that's $200 can produce another $10,000 roof in your roof.
That's what we want. And that's why it becomes an unlimited marketing budget, because I'm gonna burn that in. I'm gonna burn that into every estimate, every quote. Now, $200 isn't unreasonable on the client side.
It's not.
Right? And $200, Jim, how much can I do for $200 in marketing?
You can generate some leads for that.
You can generate some leads. I mean, Facebook often tells you right there, try this ad for $100 for a week. Well, that client just paid for 2 weeks of a test, right? Yep. And that's a ham-handed, I don't know what I'm doing test on Facebook. Well, if you run that test and you get 10 leads and you know you're going to convert one, you just got another $10,000 roof.
That's right.
And so that's why we call it an unlimited marketing budget. But it comes from having that mindset, just really thinking about things differently than the guy down the street who's running a roofing company or whatever trades company, just like you are.
Yep. You said something very, very, very specific too about belief in your value and understanding that. And that's part of the profit first system. And what you speak to and consult your clients on is that, what is the difference between 10,000 and 10,200, right? Is, as soon as the value of the perceived value of you and your company exceeds that price, you have a sale. So right. The money is there.
Yeah. Heck, as contractors, we have the sale if we show up.
Yes.
I mean, it's an interesting time. And Jim, you and I have both been around the industry for long enough. We've seen the ups and the downs in the market.
Oh, yeah.
Right? We are at a time right now when there's so much business to be had. Our problem is actually finding people that can do the job.
That's right.
And our clients have the same problem.
Yep.
They'll say to us on the doorstep or at the kitchen table, Dom, we're going to get 2 more quotes and compare the market and see what happens. If I hear that, I'm thrilled. I'm like, you go ahead and you get those other 2 quotes and then you call me back because I'm the only guy that showed up. I'm the most professional company. My systems and my processes are nailed down. I know I can do your roof. And by the way, it's leaking on your dining room table.
That's right.
I'm looking at my manifest. I can actually get this job started today. We can tarp it and I can be here next week. But you go ahead and get the other quotes. Let me know how that goes.
Yeah.
Part of that was in my head. I would never say some of those things to the client. But all you got to do is show up and you get to work. So 10,000 versus 10,200.
That's right.
Irrelevant.
It's irrelevant. So that's what having that mindset of, you don't have to add $1,000 to every job. You don't have to add, 10% to do that. What do you find that, or what do you find a lot of successful contractors, what do you see them spending on kind of as a percentage of their total revenue? What do you find as a kind of overall, I know this is talking about an unlimited budget, but let's say a company does $1 million. What do you find as a kind of, I know industry standards are terrible things, they're not really standard. They don't have to be standard in your business, but what do you see a lot of times in that? Or what do you talk to your clients about?
So yeah, because I don't approach a company from a marketing perspective. I'm usually there because they want to talk about time, their team, exit strategy, increasing sales and profitability and things like that. And so I'll take that in a bit of a different angle. Companies that are stuck aren't thinking about marketing. They're thinking about, we need more hammers bashing more nails.
Yeah.
Companies that are growing that call me and say, hey, Dom, I've been running this business for a couple of years now. My son, my daughter are involved. I want to talk about passing it on to them. I walk into that company. They're doing $60 million. They're showing no signs of slowing down. And it's a great business. The dad, usually the dad, right, is proud to pass on to his kids. Those guys have a marketing budget. So the number's almost irrelevant. It's the attitude that started with the founder, right? So if you're stuck, I already know one of the symptoms of stuck, or, the cause and effect thing, like this is there because that's not. One of the causes is we're great being technicians. We're not business people. And I don't take that away from anybody, but it's this different way of thinking, right?
Yeah.
The other situation is we invest in marketing because that brings us business. Yeah. So I can't give you a number, but I can give you an attitude.
But an attitude, yeah. And that's true. I find with all the successful companies the more successful companies that we deal with, they have an attitude of let's put a budget towards this, right? Let's how much can we spend, not how little can we spend.
So you have to hack the system at first,
right? And I was talking with a contractor up in Washington State recently, and a roofing contractor, and they were talking about how a really big player moved into their small kind of town area. They're outside of Spokane, and a really big, really big player moved into their area, and they were charging much more than the local companies.
Heaven forbid. How could they do that?
And they're getting jobs. And all of the local contractors, kind of are sitting there scratching their heads on, why they were bidding their jobs the way they were. And now this company came in and they essentially just snatched market share away from these other contractors in the area. And the way that they did that was through marketing, right? They're spending money. They're spending money on pay-per-click. They're spending money on local service ads. They're spending money, on their SEO. They're spending money, and they're they're taking business from other contractors at this point and taking it at a higher dollar value, which is, it's crazy that when usually you don't hear that. I hear more people. I was talking to another roofer down in the Austin area, in San Antonio. They have offices in San Antonio and Austin, Texas. And he was telling me how they're moving away from roofing because the price that people are charging per square is X amount, and we can't charge that and survive. And it was a mindset.
So don't charge that.
Don't charge that.
Don't charge that.
Right? Don't charge that. You don't have to charge what Chuck in a truck is charging. You're not the same company. And if you are, speaking to that mindset that you just said, you were talking about, you have to believe that yourself.
Yeah. This very same conversation you outlined, I just had with a solar company, right? So solar's tied to roofing no matter what.
Yep.
Yeah. So this is a solar panel distribution company. And right now they sell very, very technically. So they sell based on electrical current and how much you need. And so I'm looking at this and I thought, if I'm the average buyer, and I'm below average in intelligence, by the way, make it easy for me. If you want to run one dishwasher at your off-the-grid cottage or cabin, you need this panel. If you want to run a dishwasher and a stove, you need this panel. That's what I want to see. And so when we talk about marketing budget, and going back to thing I know you love, Jim, is who's your ideal customer?
For sure.
How are they talking? What questions do they have? What concerns do they have? If their concern is, are you going to show up on time and will you please do the job? $200 tacked on a $10,000 gig.
It's nothing.
That's not the deal breaker. The deal breaker is in my head. Yeah.
So how do you work with people on their mindset? Do there's a lot of shifts. What kind of tips or tricks do you or exercises do you do with them to help open their mind to look at things from a long-term perspective and finding the value in themselves and their company?
Both you and I have these podcast shows, and I think what's funny is the people that are listening to shows like yours and mine, they're already in that mindset, right? You and I, we're really not talking to people with a closed mind. We're talking to people now who have an open mind. They're asking the big questions like, I got to do something different, or I want some new information, and I'm done listening to Burp Fart Radio. Maybe there's something better I could listen to in the truck.
Yeah.
And so our job's a little bit easier because we're already talking to people who are open to listening.
Yeah.
Beyond that, it comes down to attitude, right? And so I'll often find people in the market who have the wrong kind of attitude, and I just don't work with them.
Yep.
If they're not willing to change the way they're doing things, if they don't recognize that, if I hear somebody say we're a $2 million company in a $2 million market, and there's nothing that can be done, they're probably not going to talk to me either.
No.
Right. But if I talk to somebody like, look, we're $2 million. I know we can be doing better, but we're just keep learning the same lessons again and again. That gives me the opportunity to say, hey, look at this. I use lots of visuals. I'll talk about the victor-victim concept, or the 3 stages of or a book, a really great book called The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber.
Yep.
Yeah. Have you read it?
Yep. Yeah.
Everybody should read it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll guide them in those directions, and it's a slow process. And then the other thing is, when I'm talking to them, I'm trying to share the success attitude. I've been pretty lucky in my life. I started out, I suppose one of the problems is I was running companies that were not good enough to shut down, but running just well enough to keep alive.
Okay.
I should have killed them, the companies.
Yep.
And then I became a business coach, and I learned all this stuff.
Yeah.
What we're talking about. And that's what changed it for me. I've built a company now of 237 staff, sold that one. The company prior to that had 160 staff, sold that. And so I just I've got a formula, and the formula starts in my head with, as you said, success attitude.
Yeah. Yeah. You definitely have to have that success attitude
or go get it.
Or go get it. Yeah. Because, and if you look at one of the things that, one of the reasons for this podcast is to showcase that, right? It's, when we see others doing things, we know we can do them too, right? You are just as good a roofer as, a lot of other roofers, right? As a lot of these other companies. And you probably find yourself feeling like you're a better roofer than than a lot of these companies that are out there doing really well, but they're doing better in the business side of it versus
Yes.
trade side of it. And that's speaking to that E-Myth Revisited book, is understanding that now you're a business owner, you have different responsibilities and things to look at to gauge your success. It's not just
Yeah.
success of installing a great roofing system, right?
You nailed it, Jim. That in itself, if somebody listening to this right now is walking their dog and they got that little poopy bag in their hand, give me 1 sec before you grab something with a poopy bag. I don't want you to be a great roofer. I want you to be a business person who happens to have a roofing company.
Yeah.
That mindset, if you just start with that, okay, now you can go pick up your poopy bag because I didn't want you face palming while you were hearing me say that.
Yeah.
That's a difference in thought that leads you down a different path than Fred down the street. I'm a business person who happens to have a roofing company, not a roofing company.
Yeah.
It's a totally different mindset. You go to work every day, different. You start your day different. You end your day different. You answer the phone different. You hire people different when you're a business person who happens to have a roofing company.
That's definitely right on. We get into these yes fest conversations, don't we, Dom?
I know, because we
just like
I just said, yeah, there you go.
So much alike that it's amazing, and it's because it, in my and yours opinion, it's right.
Well,
and I can show you the success on the other side of it too, from companies that have found success in doing things this way, for sure. And that's what you have to always be looking at in your business is that and following those rules. What other tricks do you have your clients fall for?
It's tricks that we have to fall for as entrepreneurs or business owners, right? I'm not tricking the clients. It really comes down to mindset. Increasing prices, as an example, is usually the most resistance comes from the client, from the business owner.
The business owner.
I call them the client. Sorry, from the business owner, not the public. And that's another one that's interesting. This is one that comes up a lot on the operations side, on running a better business, and it's about putting systems in place. Is a lot of business owners will say, well, I like to have an open door concept. Like, I like the guys to be able to talk to me whenever they want. But the impact of that, or what we call the law of unintended consequences, that's a Brian Tracy. I took that straight from Brian Tracy. No credit here.
I love the law of unintended consequences.
Is my time gets eaten up.
Yeah.
The phone's going, I'm getting a text message, somebody walks in. And what that means is I can't do estimates. I can't take care of quotes. I can't oversee the ordering and making sure that, hey, we were charged this much for this bucket of adhesive. We were supposed to be charged this much. Those are important. Those are profit leaks, right? Yep. And so if I have an open door policy, which sounds great, then people take advantage of it, which is also good. And so the trick, if you like, or the hack, people like to call them hacks these days, right? Yeah, it's a business hack, or so the hack is I have an open door policy, Mondays from 10 till 2 and Thursdays from 1 till 3. Other than that, PFO, and I'll let you look up that acronym. You guys just do the job you got to do. Now, as a business owner, I have to put systems in place for communications and accountability. I can't ignore that. But once all those systems are in place and the company's communicating and accountable, then I can cut back on the open door policy, still have it, but then concentrate on the work I need to do.
That's a great one. And that keeps you on task in doing what's going to take your business to the next level.
The highest value task. So I'll give you one more hack, one more trick. People can do this whether they're driving or, again, walking the dog. It is to calculate your revenue responsibility per hour.
Revenue responsibility per hour.
Yeah. So think about this. I'm going to use my calculator because I'm not smart and I don't have enough fingers for this. Let's say if I work 5 days a week and 8 hours a day. Now, a lot of you are laughing because they work more than that, but just, let's say that. So how many hours a year is that? So we've got 5 days a week times 8 hours a day. We know that's 40 hours a week times 50 weeks, because you take 2 weeks off for something. I'm holding up my calculator. 2,000 hours a year is what you're going to work, right?
Yep.
If you're a $2 million business, now I have to just divide how much is that per hour. So 2 million divided by 2,000. Some of you driving already know this number. My revenue responsibility per hour as the owner is $1,000 per hour. How does that make you feel, Jim?
That's a mindset shift right there.
Hey?
Right? That's definitely a mindset shift that you have to take in that, and in knowing that that's what your responsibility is, living up to that responsibility.
Jim, I'm going to freak you out. This is the hard part for me and you, is that nobody listening to this podcast wants to stay at $1,000 an hour.
No.
So they're looking to you or to me or whoever they're listening to because they want more. So, and this is one of the things I teach my clients, and you'll hear it on my podcast too, is that if you are a $2 million company, as an example, and use your own number, but if you're a $2 million company and you work 2,000 hours a year, you're worth $1,000 an hour. If listening to Jim's podcast or Dominic's podcast is not $1,000 in value, unsubscribe, click out, go away. I'm wasting your time, because you are now, you know your responsibility level, right? So this now goes to delegating. Well, why am I responsible for $1,000 an hour? Don't I have 2 people on my crew that should be worth 500 each? Yes, you do, right? And so when we talk about these tricks for success, I'm not talking about tricks in an underhanded way. These are the tools of success that you hear or that you don't see operating in the background behind Elon Musk or Bon Jovi, who's a great business person, by the way. That's their operating system. I'm done. I'll be quiet now. Sorry, Jim.
There's another part to it, and we've had this discussion before in a little bit, and we kind of see it in a very similar way, that to all of this, all of the things that we're talking about, whether it's creating an unlimited marketing budget, whether it's understanding the value of your company to the consumer, or all of these mindset shifts, the value of your hour, things like that. One of the things that there is none of are, I think you refer to it as magic pills. I like to say diet pills, unicorns,
silver bullets.
Silver bullets. These do not exist.
No.
Right. And so that's, you have to make these mindset shifts. You have to implement and execute on all of these things over time, every, day after day after day after day, and continually improve on each and everything that you're doing to really get to that level of success that you want to get to in your roofing business or in any business. And so that, but it's the expectations a lot of times that, if I just make this one little tweak, I'll lose 20 pounds.
Well, it might be, if that tweak is stop eating cupcakes every day.
That's right. Yeah. Right. So some of these shifts in mindset are easier than others, but cupcakes are wonderful and delicious, and you like to eat them every day. But there is a point where you look at it and you go, like what you were referring to in those office hours, where, man, those cupcakes are making you fat and sitting on the couch and not getting things done. So you make the small shift, and it can have a huge result in your business. So, but you still have to do it, right? You have to execute on all of that. And so that's a really, really important part. And, about, I love the way that you talk about it in the form of magic pills, right?
Yeah.
If you're looking for that, you'll be looking for a long time.
Right. But at the same time, the way we started this topic, which how to have an unlimited marketing budget, that's a system that works.
That's right.
And there's nothing magic. It's everybody listening now knows everything they need to know about the system. Go do it. And again, we're back to mentality or mindset of success. The only thing holding you back is going to do it. So go do it.
How do you lose weight? Eat right and exercise more, right? These are things. So don't look for the magic pills, the diet pills. Look for the simple systems that you can implement on your business on a day-to-day basis that actually lead to results over time.
Right. So Jim, we talked a lot about Brian Tracy. Can I give you one more Brian Tracyism?
For sure.
Brian's been a huge influence in my life, and he's a dear friend. And I know that I'm a lucky person because I know him personally.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of us have listened or read his books, but I know he's my partner, right?
Yep.
But Brian's got this great saying about the stair climber or the treadmill machine that's in your bedroom.
Yep.
That machine works. You will lose weight. You will feel better. But if you use it to hang your clothes on, you've got the right tool. You're just using it the wrong way.
That's right.
Right? And
That's
so
awesome.
Look at that stair climber in your bedroom. If you have sweaters hanging on that thing, you're using it the wrong way. So you have the tool. Now, and so this point here about an unlimited marketing budget, and Jim, you're a marketing expert. If I'm not putting money into marketing experts and systems, I'm doing a disservice to my own company. The system's there. I just have to plug in and use it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. I think we can wrap it up from here. Dom, how can everyone find you and get more information on what you do and touch base with you on a more regularly?
Well, thank you. I have a podcast just like you do. Mine is they're on all the podcast channels that you can find. So I have a podcast called Profit Tool Belt, which is how you and I met, and that's for all contractors. If a contractor here is in the cabinetry or architectural millwork business, they can also listen to another podcast I have called Cabinet Maker Profit System. And both of those have websites. You know, Jim, in this modern world, if you can't find me, you ain't looking.
That's right.
So my name's Dominic Rubino. It's spelled just like it sounds. If you see a picture of a guy with no neck and one eyebrow, click that picture. That's me. and then I'm happy to talk to you. But if you have questions, I have a course coming up in a couple of months called How to Find and Fix the 8 Profit Leaks in Your Business. If anybody wants information on that, email me through one of those websites and I'll give them all the information you need.
Great. Awesome. Thanks for your time, Dom. Great having you on. And this has been another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast.
If you would like to generate more sales through your digital marketing efforts, please visit roofermarketers.com and get a copy of the book, Internet Marketing for Roofing Contractors, How to Triple Your Sales and Turn Your Roofing Website into an Online Lead Generation Machine. Also, check the training section of the website for guides on everything from running effective pay-per-click ads to how to properly set up your Google My Business listing. This has been another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast. Thanks for listening.